Hello everybody and welcome to Bridgwater bus station. Now today I'm going to be travelling by train from Bridgwater all the way across the other side of Somerset to Templecombe. Now you may be wondering, well, how do you do that? Well, if it was a Monday to Saturday, I would have done this by bus. I would have taken a bus across the Oval, either via Street or via Taunton, and I would have taken the first buses of Somerset, Route 58, to take me to Templecombe, and then I would have walked to the Gartell Light Railway. Now, the reason why I wanted to visit the Gartell Light Railway is because they have their annual model railway exhibition on, and I haven't been to the Gartell Light Railway for a number of years. However, since the annual model railway exhibition was being held on a Sunday, I had to take the train, since Yeovil doesn't actually get any buses on a Sunday, and neither does Templecombe. Now, the easiest way to do this, and this is the way I'll be doing it today, is to head from Bridgwater down to Exeter St David's, and then take another train from Exeter St David's to Templecombe. Now, usually I wouldn't film this, however it meant running via the West of England main line, which is the railway line between London Waterloo and Exeter St David's via Salisbury, and I actually quite like this line, and I've never actually ridden on it before. However, first of all, I had to get to Exeter St David's.
Platform 1 for the 10:17 Great Western Railway service to Exeter St David's. Calling at Taunton, Tiverton Parkway and Exeter St David's. Please use the front 5 coaches only. Platform 1 for the 10:17 Great Western Railway service to Exeter St David's.
Here is my train to take me to Exeter St David's, arriving in at Bridgwater railway station on platform 1, and is a 9-carriage class 800. Whether or not it was an 800 or an 802 or whatever, I don't know. However, usually trains on this line run at 1/4 to the hour instead of 1/4 the hour at Bridgwater, and are usually formed of 5 coaches. However, this train was arriving at 10:17 instead of 10:45 and was formed of 9 coaches. On a Sunday, there is a train from Bridgwater heading south at 10:17, which is the service I was on, that is supposed to originate from London Paddington. Due to problems with the railway line in the Ealing Broadway area, on the day I decided to go to Templecombe, the train actually started at Reading. Now, there is a 10:45 train from Bridgwater, however I would end up missing my connection at Exeter St David's onto the West of England main line. Anyway, here I am leaving Bridgwater on my way to Exeter St David's, with the next stop being Taunton.
Welcome aboard this Great Western Railway service to Exeter St David's. We'll be calling at Taunton.
Here we are passing the old Black Bridge. That is what we always used to call it around Bridgwater. However, it has recently had some work done to it, and what have they done to it? I honestly don't know. However, I expect this was the main reason why the railway line between Taunton and Weston-super-Mare was recently closed. am now at Exeter St David's. Now, since I had a little bit of time here before my next train, which was a South Western Railway train, I decided to film some trains arriving and departing at St David's Station. Now, most days when I film in the winter, it is raining or snowing or it's hailing, I suppose you'd say, outside. But today it was absolutely glorious, and it was just the perfect day for filming trains or buses. Here is a Class 150 arriving into the main platforms at Exeter St David's. I think this is platform 2. I think this train was bound for Exeter Central. However, quite a few trains did arrive and depart on that platform. Whilst a Class 800 arrives into the station bound for London Paddington via Bristol Temple Meads, a Thames Turbo Class 165 arrives into platform 2, I think, bound for St James Park. Here is a 3-coach Thames Turbo Class 165 arriving into platform 3B bound for Barnstaple. This train will be running via the Tarker line, via Crediton, Eggesford and other very small and quaint stations, many of which I need to visit and are request stops, and look very charming. Trains bound for Oakhampton also use this line as far as Crediton. After Crediton, they use the Dartmoor line, which branches off near Yeovil. Here is another Class 165, this time the more standard 2-coach variant, leaving platform 2 bound for St James Park.
Service to London Waterloo via Salisbury, Hornet, Exeter Central, Pinhoe, Cranbrook, Wimpole, Honiton, Axminster.
Here is a pair of South Western Railway Class 159s arriving into platform 2 bound for London Waterloo via Salisbury. This service will be my train and will take me up the West of England main line. As I found out later, this was a brilliant line, however, it was also very strange. As you can see, the first 159 was still in the original South West Trains stagecoach livery, whereas the rear 159 was in the much newer South Western Railway First Group and MTR livery. I still think the South West Trains livery looks much better, especially on the Class 159s. Both liveries, however, were looking very worn out. Since the line between Exeter and Exmouth was closed, there was actually a lot of rail replacement buses using St David's Station. Here we are leaving Exeter St David's on our way to London Waterloo. I'd be alighting the train at Templecombe. Between Exeter and Templecombe, the train will be calling at Exeter Central, Pinhoe, Cranbrook, Wimpole, Honiton, Axminster, Crewkerne, Yeovil Junction, Sherborne and Templecombe. Many of those stations were actually very nice little stations that hardly anybody knows about, and have extremely short platforms. Now, even before I get to tell you where this train will be calling us after Templecombe, we are already arriving into Exeter Central. Although the journey only takes around 4 minutes, it is a very steep line, and therefore trains do take a little while to pick up speed. Now, at this moment in time, I realised that I think I was in first class, although when I moved to one of the standard class carriages at the rear of the train, it didn't look any different to the first class carriage, so I don't know what carriage I was in. Here we are passing through St James Park Station, which I believe is one of the closest stations to a nearby sports stadium. It's some sort of sports event. Anyway, here we are passing that Class 165 that we saw leaving Exeter St David's bound for St James Park earlier. Presumably, after it had terminated at St James Park, it had parked up in those sidings that we passed just a minute ago. Anyway, just after passing through St James Park, we branched off the Exmouth line and pulled into the small station of Pinhoe. This is where I have gotten off before, and this is the only part of the West of England main line I have actually ridden on. After Pinhoe, it is all new territory for me. Station, which is actually quite a new station and is a station on this part of the line that I have visited once before, along with a few of the other stations. However, I've actually never taken a train on this part of the line, or indeed on any other part of the line, except from the part between Exeter and Pinhoe. This station, like I said earlier, is quite new and serves the new development as well as the nearby Exeter Airport. Since there is no direct station at the airport currently only gets a bus service. Anyway, here we are now arriving into Wimpole after a very short distance. Trains seem to alternate between Wimpole and the next station up the line of Fennerton, since the stations are actually very close together. Although the distance between Wimpole or Fennerton and the next major point along the line, Honiton, is actually quite large. I would say Wimpole station is the better one out of the two stations and is actually quite interesting. However, the main station building is actually looking quite tired and knackered, and I don't believe it is in use anymore. Here we are arriving into Honiton station. Now, I'm not too sure how old or new this station is, however the station building looks like it was built in the 1960s, which I would usually like. However, the building looks not at all nice and looks absolutely terrible, and to be honest, wants knocking down. What also wants knocking down is the platform opposite our train. Now, traditionally, we would be using that platform since we're travelling eastbound. However, we are traditionally using the westbound platform. For some reason, a few years ago, they built a new platform which traditionally trains would use travelling eastbound like we are. However, pretty much no trains are scheduled to use it. They usually use the platform if there is some sort of delay or cancellation along the line and they need to try and convey the service and make most of the trains back on time. located near the village of Shute. Some of you remember I went past Seaton Junction on the Stagecoach South West Route 20. This is where mainline trains would have branched off the West of England mainline and headed down on a small branch line down to Seaton, part of which is now part of the Seaton tramway. Also nearby to Seaton Junction, trains would have branched off the mainline down to Lyme Regis. Nowadays, you have to alight here at Axminster for the Jurassic Coaster or AVMT buses. Both of the Seaton and Lyme Regis lines are now closed. However, Axminster Station is surprisingly still open. This line at one point before the Class 159 was even built was very close to being extinct and closed down. As you can see, Axminster Station has a lovely station building and is one of the best along the line. And changed onto a little branch line which would have taken you into Town Centre. Although not very much of the line still exists, there are all sorts of campaigns to try and get the line open, and it is always in the local news. However, I honestly don't think the line will ever get reinstated. It's too much of a challenge. Here we are arriving into Crewkerne Station, which is one of the smaller stations along the line and is actually located in the village of Misterton and is a good 5 to 10 minutes drive away from Crewkerne itself. You can change here on a Monday to Friday for the CR6 bus service, which will take you from Crewkerne either into Crewkerne Town Centre or down the road to Beaminster and Bridport. On a Saturday, you can use the Beaminster Town Council CB3 bus service. However, on a Sunday, you just have to drive or walk. Although this station is actually quite small and is quite far away from Crewkerne or Beaminster, the station was actually quite well used, and the station building, just like Axminster, is one of the best kept along the line. Here we are arriving into Yeovil Junction. Here you can change for the Somerset Council 68 bus service to take you to nearby villages and Yeovil Town Centre on a Monday to Saturday. So if you get off this train at Yeovil Junction on a Sunday, you're stranded at the station. But at least you have the Yeovil Railway Centre when it's open to amuse you. Although it looked like there were a lot of people on the platform, I felt like that this is where the train started to actually empty a bit, since we'd left Exeter. Now, since it looked like there were a lot of people boarding the train, even though there really weren't, I decided to do the seat review. Now, since I'm quite tall, I had absolutely no legroom. However, there was a table, there was an armrest, and I assume there are USB ports and charging points. However, I wasn't too sure. However, the seats were absolutely amazing and could keep you occupied all the way to London Waterloo. Anyway, here we are leaving Yeovil Junction, actually a few minutes late. Although many of the small branch lines that linked up with the West of England main line actually closed during the Beeching Act, this line has managed to stay open all of these years. Though the Somerset Council 68 bus service is designed to link the two Yeovil stations together, especially with Yeovil Town Centre, the line between Yeovil Junction and Yeovil Pen Mill is still occasionally used. Sometimes they will use this line for GWR diverts when part of the Westbury line is closed, and I believe there are a few scheduled South Western Railway services that leave London Waterloo in the morning and evening that use this stretch of line between Yeovil Junction and Yeovil Pen Mill. We are arriving into Sherborne Station, which is another passing point along the line, and at first glance looks a bit like Honiton Station, boring with not much character. Both Yeovil and Sherborne towns do not get any kind of bus service on a Sunday, so the train service on a Sunday to these two towns, especially Sherborne, is absolutely vital and keeps these two towns moving, especially Sherborne. Yeovil, I'm not too sure about, since the station is quite a way out of the town. On a Monday to Friday, you can use the South West Coaches CR5 bus service to get to Sherborne Station. Although at first glance the station looked a bit like Honiton Station, as you can see it has another classic station building, a bit like those at Crewkerne and Axminster, only this one doesn't seem as loved. Now, as much as I'd like to stay on the train all the way to London Waterloo, Templecombe is the next station, and unfortunately Sherborne was the final station, at least for me. Now, because I wasn't too sure how long the platforms were at Templecombe, I mean they were plenty long enough, but I didn't know that when I was on the train, I decided to move to the middle of the train, and you could just get a glimpse into the old South West trains carriages, which, to be honest, didn't look much different to the South Western Railway coaches, only they were red instead of blue. Anyway, here is my train arriving into Templecombe, and I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching, and I really like this line, and I must come back to visit some more of the stations along this part of the line, and to be honest, finish the section between Templecombe and at least Woking off. Anyway, just before I leave you, I'd just like to take a little bit of a tour around Templecombe Station. Here is this pair of Class 159s leaving Templecombe Station on their way to London Waterloo, with their next station being Gillingham Dorset. Here I am now at Templecombe Station, and for a start, what a strange station. It's a bit like Yeovil Pen Mill, but then again it's not. It's got two platforms with only one track. But at Yeovil Pen Mill, you can use both the platforms, but at Templecombe, you can only use one of the platforms, even though the one that's not in use has actually been beautifully preserved. Perhaps they're afraid that people will vandalise it. After all, you are in Somerset, home to Bridgwater, one of the most crime-ridden towns in the county. Anyway, the station does have a few modern facilities, however, the station's gem is the abandoned Art Deco signal box. Anyway, if you do like this type of video, please subscribe, as a lot of you haven't actually subscribed yet. I can't actually remember how much it is, however, some of you really do need to subscribe, especially if you like videos like this, since more of these are coming in the future. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye everyone!